Hi crafters, Amy here with Amy's Wares, and today we're going to ready, prep, batch. So I am knee deep in the throes of my holiday card planning, and I want to share with you some time-saving tips that allow me to batch a lot of cards. Now what I'm going to show you today are some products from a small woman-owned business called LDRS Creative. She has these several stamps that are called stackable sentiments rather, and you can buy this coordinating die that will cut out this stamp all in one shot. But what makes it extra special, if you saw that die to the right, there is a shadow layer as well. So I'm going to cut out a bunch of stuff in advance and have it ready to go so that when I do jump in and start making some holiday cards, I can really batch and not be slowed down by the different components that I need for my card. So to start, I'm just going to open up this Christmas stamp. This is all little Christmas sentiments, and I haven't used it before, so I'm just opening it up to take it on its maiden voyage. I'm going to load it up in my Mini Misti, and I'm actually going to be able to stamp it twice on this half sheet of cardstock, and that is Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 110 pound. Now to start, I'm just going to use this black pigment ink. It is VersaFine Clair Nocturne, and I'm going to stamp that several times just because I think my ink pad is getting kind of dry. But I will flip it around and then stamp it again on the top portion of that cardstock. And as you can see, those little squares will actually line up perfectly with that coordinating die and allow me to cut out all of these strips with that perfect little fishtail banner all at one go. So I'll get 2 passes from that one half sheet, and I'll get all these sentiments cut out, and that step will be done. So I'm just using some mint tape just to tape this down onto the cardstock. As you can see, this is actually stamped in blue. I didn't want to take any more of your time, but I did stamp a bunch of them out in grays and blacks and this blue. This was actually prize ribbon from Distress Oxide line. So I just want to have a variety, but this is the way I do it. So I try and hold it in place so they're in order, and then carefully remove the frame. And then what I'm going to do here is load them up in my storage pockets. So these are baseball card pocket protector sheets. You may have seen I do have a sentiment book, which this will ultimately get put in, but I give each one of the sentiments in order their own little pocket. And you'll see I have some extra open pockets on that second sheet, and that's where I'm going to put these shadow layers. So basically, this is my first time using this. It will cut the exact same shape as the sentiment strips, but just a little bit bigger. So it will create a perfect border around the little sentiment strips. So here I'm figuring out how I want to tape it to maximize the amount of paper used. I do end up flipping it, and I am actually able to get 2 runs of this on each of those half sheets. So here you can see I've die cut out a bunch of them. These are cool to have if you want to just do other stamps that you have that maybe aren't, stackable sentiments like this. They're nice to have, but as you can see, it creates the perfect little border for this sentiment. So it's just such a nice little feature. So I wanted to cut out colors that I thought I might use for my holiday or my Christmas cards, but honestly, these will be good to have on hand for all of these, because I actually have, I think, 7 different sets of these. You'll see here in a moment, I have all different sets from LDRS Creative that aren't just holiday or Christmas, but they will work on that same stamp. So all of these will work with that same coordinating die to cut out the sentiment, and also the one for the shadow layer. So I'm just going to put these 2 sheets right in my sentiment book, and then I'll have these ready to go. Now here's a photo of the card I'm going to make for you real quick. It comes together really quickly. I just wanted to show you some of these products in action and show you how quickly you can pull together a card when you have a lot of the components ready. So I like to have my card bases ready to go. That's another time saver. And then I have these little ink pads from Catherine Pooler, and I'm loading up this stencil from A Colorful Life Designs right on my card base. And I'm going to mask off the little bit of edge that's showing just so I don't get ink where I don't want it. And I'm going to pull out a handful of colors from this spa collection. So I have used this many times in the past, and I've batched a lot of cards, but this is a really really easy, fun stencil to use. And if you're not familiar, A Colorful Life Designs is yet another small woman-owned business in Texas. I'm actually on the design team for them, and I have a coupon, AmyFan10. So if you shop for some stencils, use that coupon at checkout and you'll save 10% on your complete order. So I have this sped up because you guys are probably not new to ink blending, but it's just a way to show you how quickly you can bring together a pretty much single layer card quickly, which obviously is going to come in handy if you have to make a lot of different holiday or Christmas cards like I do. So I like to think before I really dive into my holiday cards, I try and think about what processes I can streamline, what things I can really save time on. And a lot of it, time and time again, just comes back to my batching tips of just having this stuff ready to go on hand, and then I'm not slowed down in the middle of the process, trying to create a sentiment real quick. So at first I'm thinking that I want to put that long sentiment on the front of the card, which you ended up seeing in the picture I didn't go for. But I wanted to show you why I cut out some of the white strips from that shadow die. Now here's the reason. You can customize your white strip to whatever color you want so that it's a perfect match to your card. Another thing you can do with this is you can white heat emboss or clear heat emboss your sentiment on a white strip, and then you can then ink blend it and have the white resist or the clear resist your ink blending, and then you'll again have a perfect custom made sentiment strip. So this, I'm just showing you how they fit perfectly together, but then I end up deciding to go with Feliz Navidad for the front of the card. So I'm just using that same Merlot color that I used on the trunk just to create the shadow for the Feliz Navidad. And then I have Warmest Wishes this holiday season, which I will ultimately put on the inside of the card. So I do want to pop up the Feliz Navidad, but I'm going to attach these real quick and throw them on the inside of the card. So I do have some, I do have a sentiment on the inside of the card. But I have a lot of native speaking Spanish people in my life. Native Spanish speaking people in my life. Let me back up, reverse. Anyway, so I love it when there's Spanish sentiments in stamp sets. So I was very pleased to see that that was included in this stamp set. So basically very simple card creation here, not reinventing any wheels. I am just simply trying to streamline my process and save as much time as I can so that I can be efficient with my card making. So you don't have to cut corners, you don't have to sacrifice, a pretty card at the end of the day, but there's no need to take a ton of time either. So I hope you find these tips and tricks helpful. I do decide I want to round the corner on this just to give it a little bit of visual interest. So I use my corner chomper, and then here I'm coming in with some beautiful glittery, sparkly watercolors that I got from a company called Uli, and I'm just going to splatter that all over the front of the card just to give it a little bit of shimmer and a little bit of visual interest. So I will do the black and then I believe the champagne color, and I'm using my water brush pen from Arteza just to kind of flick that right off the edge of the block and then give it some shine and shimmer for the holidays. And I do have just a little piece of that Post-it tape covering up my sentiment because I don't want to put any splatters on that and make the words not legible. So that finishes my card, and it was super easy and quick, and I could easily batch a bunch of this design if I wanted to with these components ready to go. So I hope you find this helpful and it gives you some tips to save some time with your holiday card making. If you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing, and I will check you next time. Thanks.